Well, once again, welcome in. It is the Unash and Dukes podcast coming your way here on our Unash and Dukes podcast YouTube channel. And we do appreciate all of our viewers subscribing to us. We get a couple more each week, and that's great to have. Get the word out and get everybody tuning in. We do appreciate it. We appreciate as well the good folks at Emel's Hideaway, our presenting sponsor of the Unash and Dukes podcast. They are located on Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids, right across. No, that's let's try that again. Take two. They're located on First Avenue Southeast, right across from the Lindale Mall, and they're open at 4 o'clock Monday through Saturday. Couldn't do it without them. Thanks to those folks. Thanks as well, Mark Ironside joining us one more time here. Thanks to Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance. And Kurt is located on Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Johnson Avenue High V. And look forward to seeing Kurt all the time in the fall and through the summer. And just a great guy, great supporter of wrestling. Couldn't do it without him. And stop on by and see what he's got to offer you as far as all your insurance needs. And not only that, thank him for being the presenter of Mr. Ironside throughout the season. Who joins us? He's back. It's Back to the Future with Mark. Tell us where you are. You are in a dorm room, correct?
Yeah, I'm in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center. So out here for the National Women's Freestyle Camp going on here this week. It's the whole week, and so I'm out here just kind of coaching Macy, observing, teaching a little bit, just some coaching duties or whatever, learning just kind of how the system works. I haven't been around, I haven't been out here since 2000, so it's been 26 years now that I've been out here. So they wanted me to come out here and kind of be part of it or whatever, and I really didn't want to at first because it's like I was just gone all last week at the Nationals, and now I got home Sunday and flew out here yesterday. So I'm out here for another week, so I'm gone a lot, but it's worth it though. Hanging out with Macy and coaching, and there's a lot of other foreign teams here. China's here, Sweden's here, Canada's here, I think Turkey maybe. So they do a lot of live matches and with different countries and different set you up with different partners and stuff like that. So I don't know, just a learning development thing. And then they have the U.S. Open coming up the last week of April. So that's kind of like what we're gearing up for right now.
Mark, a lot to digest from Cleveland, and you've had a little bit of time to reflect on it, possibly. I don't know. But there was a lot of good feelings about the Iowa performance. Fourth is not what Iowa wants or is used to, but given the season that it had and, the performances, everybody except a couple wrestled above the seeds, and there was a lot of good feelings about that. What were your impressions of the whole thing from the Iowa standpoint?
I mean, I'm blown away, honestly, with how many people at the national tournament commented to me about how great the team's doing, or how great the team did, or since the national tournament, how great the team did. And it did good for sure, compared to where we were in January. A lot of that, as we talked about in the last broadcast too, or the one before that, we did well at the Big Tens, and we out wrestled all of our seeds there, which they're pretty rough seeds, so it's been hard not to. But we did really well there. That was the best I've seen us wrestle as a team all year. And then we took it up even another notch at the national tournament. So Tom and the staff had those guys peaking at the right time. But a lot of it, I think, had to do with the health too. The guys were finally getting healthy. And that has a lot to do with the outcome of your matches. And that's one thing that Tom and the team fought with all year. And, it helped having, once we lost in Dean, it helped having at the Big Tens and Nationals, a guy like Gabe Arnold step in at 197 and actually had a good 97 pounder in the lineup again. That we could rely on and count on, and that was an All-American for us. So uh, he could have been there after Dean's exit, but he couldn't because he had to wrestle for Patrick Kennedy once or twice. He had to wrestle for Angelo Ferrari a bunch of times. So because we weren't healthy. Now, think about if Patrick Kennedy was 100% healthy the second half of the season and Angelo Ferrari was healthy and then we had Gabe Arnold in there at 197 the entire second half of the season. I mean, no holes there. That's a good lineup. That makes a big difference. That beats Minnesota. I mean, people don't think about stuff like that. And then we had to have Nasir Bailey out of the lineup quite a bit in the second half of the season, and he came back and wrestled the best he wrestled all year long with after two hand surgeries. So um that helps. And man, he shoulda, woulda, coulda. I know him and Dean Peterson were so close to being All Americans, both of them losing blood round in matches that they coulda, shoulda, woulda won. But if they would have had 9 All-Americans out of 9 qualifiers, that would have been something.
Would have been. And just you mentioned the great story of Gabe Arnold stepping in at 197 and being an All American. Pretty amazing. Ryder Block, too, getting sixth and being an All
Yeah,
American. He had
that's
such a
funny.
roller coaster year.
Well, he had his weight under control at the Nationals, and that really, really helped. He never got tired, he never got fatigued. His weight was under control, and it helped so much. And that, I mean, that could have been prevented a lot of the season too. Just you got to be disciplined and have your weight under control, and you can't crash down on that last day. And he would have won a lot more matches, that he lost. He would have won some of those matches that he lost if he would have done that and been disciplined with his weight control during the season. And at least he did it at the right time. But what's funny is that him and that Chance Lamer from Nebraska, wrestled in the ninth place bracket at the Big Ten tournament just to get into the NCAA tournament because they only took 8 people at 149 pounds. Chance Lamer and Ryder Block didn't even make the top 8, so they had to wrestle in a separate bracket for ninth. Ryder Block wins in overtime on that stall call, so Chance Lamer doesn't even make it in, so he has to get an at-large bid just to even get in the tournament. And then you get Ryder Block getting what? Would Ryder get fifth?
Six.
Sixth.
Yeah.
Sixth, and then Chance Lamer gets, I think, fourth. I mean, those two guys, that one needed at large, the other one gets in on the ninth place bracket at the Big Ten championships, and then they're both fourth and sixth in the country at the national championships. That's just crazy to me. It's funny. It shows you how much can change in just a couple of weeks, and it also shows you how strong the Big Ten is.
I want to go back to Arnold for a minute, Mark, because I don't know that you can fully appreciate being 27th seed and finishing as an All-American. That's one thing, but the difference between 174 and 197 is obvious, 20 plus pounds. I don't know what Gabe weighed at the national tournament, but to go through 3 different weights in one year, out of necessity, to help the Iowa program, but and given the what happened in the off season and whatnot, to me it's like opportunity for him. He met an opportunity and seized it. I don't know all the behind the scenes stuff, but it's just an incredible story in my mind.
Yeah, it really is. He grew up a lot this last year. He grew up a ton. I will say that once Tom kicked him off the team, and I can't say that technically because I talked to Tom about that at the Big Ten. Tom's like, Ironside, I did not kick him off the team. But then you hear Gabe Arnold talk in his interview after the Nationals, says, well, I got kicked off the team this last summer. So somebody there, I don't know whether he got kicked off or not. Gabe says he did. Tom says he didn't kick him off. Whatever. Regardless, there were some issues there. They brought him back and basically said, okay, 3 strikes are over. You're out. Okay. You don't get any more chances. You're either going to shape up or ship out. And he shaped up and he grew as a man. And he really did a great job of just staying disciplined to his weight, getting his weight all the way down to 174, where he was huge in the offseason. But he stepped up as a team player whenever they needed him, wherever they needed him, and he just grew a lot as a person. And I think he gained a lot of respect from the coaches and his teammates and so forth. And it was awesome to see. And he weighed in, I think, the first day of the tournament at 195. The kid can put on weight, that's for sure. He does not have a problem doing that. But yeah, weighed 195. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I know he was pretty emotional, and even Tom Brands was even a little emotional with him after that. And you don't see that very often. So I think it meant a lot to Tom with the team and how they did this year. And he may not express it a ton, but he did show it some. And this team and how they performed at the end of the season, and how it was throughout the season, um, it was a pretty good ending. And Tom, it meant a lot to Tom. I know that he was really struggling in the middle of the year there, and it was good to see that end on a good note. Now, with that being said, we're all jumping for joy and doing jumping jacks and congratulating everybody, and patting them on the backs, but it's for fourth place. And we're a long, long ways from being number one. And we got jumped by Oklahoma State last year and this year. And they have a very, very young team. Oklahoma State does. I think they're only losing one guy. Uh, Penn State bringing all their points back pretty much, besides Levi Haynes at 174, which they're not even going to miss a beat there, because if you guys remember, there's that kid called Kasak last year, for them, because PJ Duke didn't wrestle last year. He redshirted, and then Kasak wrestled. This year, Kasak's redshirt and Duke's wrestling. Well, you're probably going to see Messenbrink bump up to 74, and you're going to see Kasak or Duke, one of them at 57, one of them at 65. So they basically have all their points coming back, and Oklahoma State basically has all their points coming back. And we lose a ton of points. Nebraska loses a lot of points. Like, everybody's losing points except for those top two teams. They are so good, so strong, and so young, and it's going to take a lot to try and catch those two teams.
Um, yeah, and we'll get to next year coming up, and kind of interesting things after the completion of the finals on Saturday night. But you mentioned the guys that I was going to lose. It's just not going to look the same in that lineup without Caliendo and Kennedy and Drake Ayala. Those three guys have been kind of synonymous. Good to see Caliendo get to the finals. I know it didn't go well at all, but he got there. 35 straight years now, Iowa's had a finalist, so that's good news. It's just, it's tough to see him go out that way. Glad to see Patrick Kennedy win his third place match to end it, his career. But like I said, there's some holes next year at those weights.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. I know that the port transfer portal starts on April 1st. It's going to be really interesting to see kind of how we hit that and what happens with that. So, if anybody read that article that Tom agreed to do and did right before the Big Ten championships, from Chad Costco from the Des Moines Register, he said the one thing they did say is that we need to do a better job of really, really looking into the backgrounds of these athletes and figuring out who they are before we just go and bring them on. Um, so I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It'll be really interesting to see what happens, and as the world turns and all the drama with the NIL and the portal and all that type of stuff is gonna come out, and then you'll see coaching changes and stuff like that too. You saw John Reeder step down just. I think it was yesterday. He stepped down as the head assistant at Wisconsin. He's a really, really good guy, and been at it for a lot of years, and a national champion for Iowa State. And Wisconsin, without them, I mean, Wisconsin's struggling already, but without Reeder in that program, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have to go from the outside, I would think, to bring someone in there. So I don't know what Bono's thinking there or whatever, but that's a big loss. And I seen Stanford, Hidley from Stanford, is actually leaving that program as well too, and it sounds like he's going to go to North Carolina State. North Carolina State's up and coming, but man, Stanford had a phenomenal national tournament. I think they ended up finishing seventh. That's just a great tournament for Stanford. North Carolina State did well. They finished 10th once Trumbull from North Carolina State's heavyweight won in the finals, and I got 10th. They knocked Virginia Tech out of there. Virginia Tech was one of those teams that was supposed to finish probably top five, and they ended up getting 11th. Iowa State really stumbled at the national tournament. Would they have like three All-Americans, I think?
And
That was a really ugly tournament for them. And I know that they were dinged up a little bit with Rocky Elam, their 97 pounder, who was the number 2 seed. I guess he, at the last 30 seconds of the Big 12 tournament, blew his knee out or did something to his knee. And then Isaac Dean, one of their main guys, he went, I think, 0-2. He pulled a hamstring at the Big 12 tournament. So, but nobody cares about that stuff. Trust me, from Iowa, nobody cares if you're hurt or not. But Iowa State, yeah, looking on the outside, it's like, oof, that was rough. I mean, their claim to fame is they beat the Iowa Hawkeyes this year, and that's good enough for them, probably. But yeah, it was a really rough tournament for them. And then Doug Schwab took 6 guys to the tournament and didn't have any qualifiers. So rough year for UNI and Doug Schwab, and I don't know what he's got coming in or what. But after Parker left, it was really nice that they had Parker for that time that they did, and now I think Doug's finding out like where his college program kind of stands compared to these great big dogs with all the money, and it's not very high up on the totem pole when you don't have money in this day and age with NIL in the portal.
Mark, talking about Kennedy and Caliendo and Ayala, I mean, uh, they'll have their legacies without winning a national championship, but I wonder how you will remember that group.
Just great teammates, I remember that group as, people that, not everybody can be a national champion. That's kind of unfortunate. You can't just go off of whether, they're good guys who deserve what you think you deserve or not or whatever, but they're just great teammates. The guys that did everything right on and off the mat, and they're what you want to build your program on. You just wish that, they would have reached the top of the pinnacle and won that national title, and you hurt for them and you feel bad for them. But um, that's unfortunately that's life. And I don't know what Drake's going to do, but it sounds like Patrick's going to continue to wrestle. Um, and then I know Caliendo is going to continue to wrestle. I'm not really sure about Drake and what his plans are or whatever, but just a great group of guys, a really, really good group, and great team leaders, great teammates. None of them are very vocal type guys. They just go in and, like Patrick says, put your work boots on and you go to work. And that's kind of all three of them, kind of what they do and what they did, and they were appreciated in the sport of wrestling, respected by a lot of coaches too. I saw a lot of coaches go up to Patrick and just shake his hand, and they just have a lot of respect for how he goes about doing things, and they appreciate that. Not just the Iowa program, but other programs. I know that Messenbrink tried shaking everybody's hand on the stand, and that was a big ordeal, and Caliendo just stood there and didn't shake Messenbrink's hand. And some people can say it's a poor sport or whatever, but I don't look at it that way. I mean, I could see both sides, um, but the way that Messenbrink did it, and just, I mean, does he do that? If Messenbrink loses in the finals, does he go up to every single person on the ward stand and shake all their hands in front of everybody, and then hop up on the stand and smile and enjoy getting his picture taken? I mean, it's easy to do that when you win. But when you're one of those other guys and Messenbrink hasn't felt that, it's different. And that's where it's I don't know. You'd have to be in that situation. I don't think if I was Caliendo, I probably would have been shaking Messenbrink's hand in that particular situation either. I think Caliendo handled himself very well. He wasn't rude. He wasn't mean. He just kept his hands in his pocket. He just looked forward, and he was there on the war stand. He didn't throw a fit. He was there waiting for everybody. There was a drum thing solo, like a drum group that did the thing right before he had to stand on that block forever. Nobody knows that behind the scenes unless you're in the arena. Forever. And you know what? He was the very first one on that block waiting for everybody else to get there too. And Messenbrink was off doing his interviews and seeing his parents and celebrating and doing everything, while all seven other All-Americans stood on that block for probably a good 5 minutes waiting for him. And he gets up there, and the first thing he does is want to shake everybody's hands. And Caliendo just wasn't having any part of it, and I don't blame him.
Being at Penn State, yeah, they won. 181 and a half. They won it pretty easily, like everybody thought they would. Only got only four national champions. Other than Messenbrink, though, I'm not going to say they struggled, but they had two to one wins in the finals. And then I think a little bit more. You don't get Kale very candid often. And Kale started off his press conference afterwards, and I don't think there's going to be a reunion tour between David Taylor and Kale Sanderson anytime soon. The rivalry's on, I think, Mark. He went after Okie State in
What did
the
he say? I didn't get to see it. I honestly didn't see it. I only seen clips. He said something about how they stay true to their team. They do everything correctly. They don't have to worry about which way the wind blows, and that he can't say that for all these other teams or something.
correct.
What's going on out there? So
Yeah.
he didn't really say anything specific at any team. He just basically said that, hey, we're doing everything right by the book, regardless of how everybody else is handling it.
Mark Dukes.
The footnote is Jack's Forest. Let's face it. He wasn't happy that Jack's Forest left high school and became eligible and won a national title. And he thinks that's not right. That's my opinion.
Well,
Yes.
that, and you also have, that's the reason that I'm drawing a blank. What was that kid that recruited Iowa when he left? That super number one recruit guy,
Bo Bassett.
Bo Bassett. That was one of the big ordeals, is because what they're doing with Jack's Forest and flying him back and forth to Oklahoma City and on a plane and getting an apartment for him and doing different things that are illegal. You can't do. Well, guess what? Bassett's like, well, they're doing it for Jack's. Why can't you do that for me? And Tom's like, because I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to have my boss, breathing down my neck. How's this happening? How's that happening? Or whatever. Basically, we're giving you freaking crap load of money, and if that's not good enough, and now you want a plane, you want an apartment, like, where does it end? And if David Taylor does that and wants to do that, then you know what, and he can get away with it, good for him. But obviously that doesn't sit well with Tom Brands and Kale Sanderson, because they do things right and by the book.
How about next year for Iowa?
Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens come April 1st. I know that 125, we got Joey DeLuca,
Yeah.
who I'm super excited to watch compete at 125 pounds next year. I don't think we're going to miss a beat there. I think he's fun. I think he's exciting. He's going to be one of the crowd favorites right away. So I'm looking forward to him getting in the lineup. And he'll be healthy. He wrestled like one match for us and tore his ACL this last year, so he had to get surgery, and then he'll be back next year as a freshman. So 33, I'm not sure. 41, I don't know what's going to go on there. 49, Ryder Block. If he's at 49, he honestly he could bump up to 57 and be way happier, and honestly probably not miss a beat. Like if I was Tom or Coach, I'd really look at just, you know what, instead of having him cut all this weight and stuff, just bump him to 57. He's got a frame. Let him build. Get that weight room hard and build him 57 and recruit 49. But I don't know. Maybe they'll just keep him at 49. It is what it is. 57, I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know if Jordan Williams is upset because of the situation. They didn't wrestle him at the Big Tens. And he's like, you know what? Heck with you guys. I'm out. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. If they're going to jump in the portal, if they just stay there, I don't know. 65, we got to find something there. 74, we need to find something there. 84, you got Angelo Ferrari back. 97, Gabe will probably go down to 74, would be my guess. But he's going to have to maintain his weight and do a good job with his weight. 97, you're probably going to see Harvey Ludington. And then heavyweight, you got Ben Keeter. When you think about it, Ben Keeter got fifth this year. What was he seated going in? 10th or something? I
And
don't even.
Seven
10th?
or
7th?
eighth.
He got
Eighth.
fifth. Eighth. He got
Yep.
fifth. First, second, third, and fourth all graduated. So he could very possibly be the number one ranked heavyweight in the country at the beginning of the year next year.
I want to
So
ask you. I want to ask you about one more thing from this NCAA meet. Maybe it's symptomatic of some guys in wrestling, and that's medical forfeits. Some people think it's the Ferrari family tradition to do that, but every situation is different. I don't know the extent of the injuries to either Ferrari. I know Rocky Elam was injured, but I think people out there think it's more of a mental forfeit than a medical forfeit. Some guys, if Angelo Ferrari had reached the finals, would he have wrestled? You're damn
Correct.
right he would have.
Yeah.
So was AJ Ferrari. So I guess the whole idea, I think there was six, seven, eight at least in the backside uh, medical forfeit. So just that whole situation there. What are your thoughts?
Well, I agree. I think it's a matter of, it's hard. I mean, I will say, I remember my sophomore year, I got beat in the overtime um by Steve St. John, and I had to come out the next morning and wrestle, and I did not want to. I mean, that's the last place on earth I wanted to be, but I mean, I never fought Gable or never even considered not wrestling. I just in my mind I just didn't want to, but I never seriously considered like, well, I'm not going out there. I'm not wrestling. I was just being a big baby, threw all my stuff on, and I was just sitting out there. I wasn't going to warm up or whatever. And then Tom grabbed somebody's workout gear and made me like he literally made me warm up with him and get ready to go and got me ready to go. Had Tom not done that, I guarantee I wouldn't have gotten third that day. Came back and beat Steve Schmidt and Anthony Periano, two great guys. There's no way. I mean, it's a tough spot to be in mentally when everything that you really truly believe that you were going to be in the finals and win a national title, and then you can't do it. It's tough. And I always say those people that get third at the national tournament every year, those are the people if you're going to recruit somebody to work for you and be in the workforce, that person right there, those are the people I'd probably go get one of those over an actual national champion. Because it really shows you what they are like as a person and the personality and the character that they have. Because that's one of the toughest positions to be in to come back and against good competition and have to weigh in and your body's beat up and uh, that Aiden Sinclair from Missouri really impressed me in his interview. And she said, "Hey, you know what? I'm here to wrestle. I love wrestling. I just love the sport." It's like, yeah, I'm beat up or whatever. But so what? That's fun. I mean, it's a good feeling to have. And just a really good kid. I can't really comment on Ferraris and some of the other people that didn't. Like you said, if Angelo wins that match against McAnally in the semifinals, does he wrestle in the finals? Damn right he does. I mean, so I don't know. I don't
I
know.
mean, that could have affected fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
It didn't in the end, but it could have because he medically forfeited. But I appreciate it. The response. I think every situation is different, probably.
I wouldn't say every situation is different, but some of them are for sure. Some of them are legitly hurt or whatever, but some of them are banged up and dinged up. But like you said, you got to look at it as well. If you're wrestling for first, yeah, you're going to wrestle. But now if you're only wrestling for third, well, that becomes a mental thing, like a negative mental thing, and then you just say basically quit, like you just don't want to. But if you wrestle for first, then it's a whole different story and a whole different ball game. And heck yeah, I'm going to wrestle. So that's kind of the best way to look at it, And you could go back, other years of other people that done that. So it's something that's unfortunate. You're seeing it more and more, and that's what's sad. You're seeing it more and more all the time, and it's not, it's not, it's not a good thing. I'll just say that.
Well, no, you survived Cleveland too, so
Yeah, I did. I did. All I'm just
that's all
saying
we'll
though is
say,
next
right?
year. All I'm just saying though is next year. Hey, you know what though? I did take $330 from the casino that night though, so that was good.
Did you? Okay.
Attaboy.
All was
Yeah.
not
I,
lost.
Slots or
but
what?
I wanted to play
Slots?
blackjack 'cause that's what I usually play, but when I got there, there's like casino was huge and it was super late at night because by the time it was over and I went back to the hotel and got our food and ate dinner and stuff, and then we had to be up at 4:30. The bus was leaving at 5, and I'm just like, You know what? I'm just gonna go down and check out this casino, and it was packed with so many wrestling fans and wrestlers and coaches and everything else. But all the blackjack tables were full except for the $25 hand table, and that's a little rich for my blood. So I went down and found some slots and sat there for 3 or 4 hours and walked away after I feel like I did my due diligence and left. So it was good. At least I got something from Cleveland in that department.
Very good. Now it's a little more wrestling. Obviously, you're in Colorado Springs, and then got that, and then your race car. You're ready to go. Get them ready to go, right?
I am. When I get back the first week of April, I'm going to really start working on that. There's some things that Jeff King and I have to do, and go get the referee and start running the car through that and getting things figured out. So, getting ready for the racing season, and also what I get most excited about is turkey hunting season starts up in the middle of April. And Tom already asked me if I'm going out and getting one tied up for him like I always do for opening day. So absolutely. So I'm super excited for that. So April is going to be a really busy month between turkey season, racing season starting, and then going out to Vegas for the U.S. Open and getting Macy ready for that for the last week of April.
Yeah.
Don't forget about a tea time, Mark.
Yes, we definitely have to do that at some point, but that's going to have to wait until after turkey season's over.
No
But this
problem.
summer we're doing
Okay.
that
We'll
for
Kurt
sure.
get Kurt out there, have fun on the golf course again.
Heck
And
yeah, I'm all for it.
yeah, and hey, thank you, Mark, for being on with us throughout the season. Always enjoy it, and thanks to Kurt as well for making it all possible.
You got it. Yeah, Thanks a lot to Kurt. So I appreciate him supporting you guys and supporting the sport of wrestling. So thanks for having the show again this year and keeping the ball rolling this year through the podcast.
All right, have fun in Colorado Springs.
All right. Thanks, Dukes. Thanks, Scott.
All right, talk to you later.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. See you guys.
All right, Mark Ironside joining us, courtesy of Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, and Kurt on Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Johnson Avenue Hy-Vee. And thanks not only to him, but also, as we talked about, to Emel's Hideaway. Hunt Graphic Innovations over in Hiawatha. Todd Hunt does a tremendous job with our crmlivesports.com website. Gary at Bim Ritter Sportswear, downtown Cedar Rapids, and online at bimritter.com. And Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology on Council Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids. Getting into the spring season, a lot of outdoors. You want to go check out, make sure you're A-OK with that. Set up an appointment with the best, Dr. John Woolner over at Epiphany Dermatology. We'll get together at some point here, probably after Iowa State play. I don't know. We'll figure it out, Mark. But that's Iowa State plays on Friday late, so we'll see how that plays out. May have to go Saturday again. Iowa on Thursday. Hawkeyes in Nebraska. Huskers are a 2.5-point favorite. Iowa State a favorite in their game over Tennessee. I think 4 last time I saw, right around that area anyway. Iowa women, as we mentioned on the Monday podcast, just after they were defeated in double overtime, they are out of the tournament. Iowa State already with 3 players into the transfer portal off the women's basketball team. Not sure what's happening in Ames. Looking for some clarification. Not sure what's happening in North Carolina either. Hubert Davis asked by the North Carolina administration reportedly that, do you want to still coach this team? What's he going to say?
Well, we know what happened in Omaha, and I think it's time to give a cat tip to Greg McDermott on a wonderful career. He's got, obviously, ties here in Iowa with Cascade and UNI and Iowa State, and just that transition from that Creighton had to make, and he shepherded that. And just Greg had a terrific career, and he says he's retiring. We'll take him at his word. If he returns, so be it. But great run for Greg McDermott.
Alan Huss taking over, who was on his staff for a long, long time. He was the coach in waiting, then went to, High Point for a couple years, They brought him back. He was the guy that brought in all those High Point guys
Hmm.
that beat Wisconsin and brought him back. Now all the speculation opening up. Iowa Mr. Basketball, Jaden Kuhn at Creighton recruit. Does he stay there? Does he reopen his recruiting? I don't know. He knew Huss too, so I my gut tells me Jaden Kuhn is staying at Creighton. What's going to happen with Dix? I think he stays at Creighton. I don't think Freeman's coming back to Iowa. So the rumors are running rampant out there. Um, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Baseball starts on Thursday. Maybe we'll get to that a little bit on Friday and Saturday. Have a few, or on Monday. We'll get to it. We got a lot of sports crossing over right now, Mark.
Maybe we just go to the range, set up a camera, and do a podcast from there and forget about all this other stuff.
Well, we're forgetting the biggest story, and that is Tiger is leading us on again, leading on the world. Oh, gonna play a little TGL on Wednesday night. So, yeah, exactly. Everybody's
Don't take the bait, Scott.
everybody is. I guarantee you, Golf Channel is salivating in 7 days of Tiger at Augusta. That's all we'll hear about. The guy has about as much chance of winning as I do.
Can you tell that's one of Scott's pet peeves, people?
Good
Can you
grief.
tell? Does it show through?
All right, Mark. Thanks to
All
Mark
right.
Ironside. Always fun to have Mark
Absolutely.
on, and we know people enjoy it. And thank you for the comments about that. We do appreciate it. So, all right, we'll get together later on this week, early this weekend, and see what happens with Iowa and Iowa State.
Sounds great.
All right. It's going to wrap things up for this edition of the Unash and Dukes podcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And for both Marks, Scott saying thank you, and we will talk to you next time.